Okay, December 18th, an update on different spring mechanisms that I tried on this. Here are the different arrangements. Started with this spring steel. That didn't quite work. Then I used this compression spring. It sort of worked, but it was really noisy. Then I went to this torsion spring. It worked, but it just didn't have enough gazufti in it. Then I went to I forget what you call this, but a tension spring. It sort of worked, but I mounted it the wrong way, and you can see it all stretched out. And then I got my act together and remounted it with a short version, and that's the one that seems to be working right now. So here's here's the latest one that works. It's bolted to the adjustment bar here and then to the main housing. When I was using this one, I had it bolted here, but I bolted it to the gear plate, and of course as you moved this out, it worked as far as the spring goes, but then this whole unit would rotate and it would stretch the spring basically around the gear, and so it worked for the first couple, but then it overstretched the spring and that didn't quite work. This little guy here, the torsion spring, sat in here, and again that one sort of worked. It had one leg against here and the other against there, and it functioned okay. It just didn't have enough tension to make it feel good. And if I could find a spring that had more tension without taking up more space, that might be a satisfactory way to go. But I can't seem to find one. Earlier I tried this compression spring by running a 632 screw from here over to there. You can see that's what this opening is. And then the spring itself sat, it straddled the screw. And that actually worked, but again, it was very noisy because as the spring would, the screw would slide down the spring, you'd hear all those the noise was really crunchy. Now, if that was a solid shaft, that might have worked, and maybe I'll go back and try that. But again, that was my second iteration, that compression spring. And the first one I tried was this piece of spring steel, and that was attached, well, actually to a different bar. I don't even have that, but somewhere in there was attached something like this, and it created the tension between this bar and there, and that it worked a little bit, but not very well. Anyway, so now I've reduced everything down to a small spring that's attached to the bar here and to the housing here. And as you saw in the earlier video, it's hard to show with one hand holding the camera, but the function is very good. The tension feels good, and it snaps into place after I move it. So happy with the progress so far.